Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And this is Questions, Coffee, and Cars 173. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather them, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Okay, before we get started, we have a little housekeeping to do. I have the winners for the Nitto Tire contest. We gave away those Motivo 365 performance all-weather tires, and we have one American viewer that won and one Canadian viewer, and the tires are going to be shipped to you for your specific car. And from Canada, it's Usman Khan from Weston, Nova Scotia.
Awesome.
And then from the U.S., from Springfield, New York, it's Nazir Fazal. So congratulations.
Congratulations. And you should have already been contacted already.
But basically, this is a public service announcement for the people maybe who didn't.
Yeah, who didn't win. Sorry about that. Maybe next year we'll do another tire giveaway.
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be great. Your
questions from Instagram.
We're so disappointed with our 2020 Lincoln Aviator. Looking for something new. The Lexus GX550 is shiny, but I'm reading online that the prior model had a very reliable engine and transmission. Thoughts on the redesign? Yep, very reliable, the previous model.
Yeah, that had the V8 engine and it had been around for a long, long time. They left it in the market for many, many years. So if that's really motivating you to maybe get one of the last year models, go for it. Yeah. So we're in this sort of wait and see with the latest GX because it's just come out. We can, however, look at the reliability of the same power plant used in Tundra.
Yeah.
And they had a massive recall. Replacing over 100,000 engines, not just parts of the engine, the engine.
Yeah, so that is a concern. It's if you're really wanting something that's reliable, I would go with the previous model, but you're right. It is shiny and new and it's got all the latest technology. And I think that Lexus did a wonderful job with the redesign. It just looks cool and rugged.
I was just going to say, but one thing I'll say is that, you know, as a brand, Toyota, is all about quality.
For sure.
And they are replacing 100,000 engines. And hopefully the manufacturing process is a manufacturing fault. There was some filings that were still in the engine that caused these catastrophic failures. You would hope that's been fixed for the new ones, but just take it on advisement.
And Toyota even said, like, they didn't have a stellar launch for Tundra and Tacoma, and they're not happy about that, and they're rectifying that. For me personally, I love the new GX so much that that's probably the one I would go for, but I totally understand if you're concerned about reliability.
See that house right there? I think that's the house right there. Theirs is coming any day now.
Any day in Nori Green.
Yeah.
Super excited for them.
They're very excited for the shiny and new.
Yes. You guys are the best Canadian auto reviewers. Thank you. Just want to know, are there any new hybrid models coming in the subcompact section? Should we wait for 2026 models?
So I just want to clarify, subcompact cars are pretty much a dead category. So that's not happening. I think you're touching on subcompact crossovers.
Yes. Did it say that? Yeah, it just said subcompact section. You're right. You know, there aren't many. I mean, we
have one we're hoping for, Andrea.
Yes, the HRV hybrid. Yeah, well, it should come. It makes sense for it to come. The HRV needs a hybrid powertrain for sure. You've got the Corolla Cross hybrid and you have the Niro hybrid. There is just not a lot. We did speak to Kia about bringing in a Seltos hybrid and they said, no.
You know what? If you're not hung up on driving a crossover vehicle, get a Civic hybrid in the hatchback because it has a really big back seat. It has a really big hatch with a lot of cargo space. It just drives so amazingly well. And if it's all about a hybrid, that's a really cool car. And you're going to get a lot of utility even out of that.
Yeah, I agree. We really like the Civic hybrid. It was our #1 vehicle last year. Sedans. I miss sedans, but need advice on which ones have higher seating positions, either via ground clearance or seat adjustability for a more gradual transition away from CUVs. You know which one I found was pretty good? The Camry. I thought that was good. The Accord sat a little bit lower. The Civic sits lower.
Well,
That's a tough one.
so you can kind of hedge your bets and have a little bit of future proofing as well. I would say that the Crown Signia is one that's kind of straddles the two. So it's based on the same platform as Camry and developed into a Crown and has a bit of that wagon kind of vibe. So you do, when you drive it, feel more like you're driving a sedan slash station wagon than a regular crossover vehicle. That's one to consider.
How about the Outback? I think that the new model is looking a little bit more, well, it's looking boxier, more like an SUV, but the previous model Outback has a wagon look. You could also go for a Volvo wagon. There aren't many left anymore, unfortunately. And then you know what else I was thinking? I found actually quite easy to get in and out of is the Jetta or the GLI.
This is one of those things where you just have to do the legwork yourself and try them out, because what we find easy or hard to get in and out of, you might have a totally different opinion of that. Also headroom, when you're going to crash your head getting in it. I mean, all these things you have to just do the seat time.
Thoroughly enjoyed your review of the 2025 Volkswagen Golf GTI. Thank you. Was sold on the car until I saw the price. Could you please help me understand why the price point would be so high on such a small car?
I just want to jump in right now
Okay.
and say, hosers in Canada, we get a screaming good deal on the Golf and the Golf R, because if you look at the pricing, Andrew's got it right there.
I got it right here. I just printed it out.
I'm just going to look at the top trim, for example, is $43,000 in Canada, and the top trim in the United States is $41,000. But in Canada, that includes the freight and the PDI. So when you factor that into the United States price, it's actually the same price north and south of the border, but we're buying them with Canadian dollars and you're buying them with American dollars.
We certainly are. The price, I assume you're from the US, because actually the Canadian pricing,
Is
in
excellent.
our opinion, is very good. It's super competitive, especially for what you get. And Volkswagen has really loaded up that GTI with some great standard features if you don't want to go for the Autobahn trim, but it's really such a special vehicle. It's the US pricing that is definitely off. It's pricey, but then I pulled numbers for the Civic Si, and it starts at $39,000 in Canada and $30,250 in the US. So while the US base S model is just under $32,500, yes, it's more than the Civic Si, which is only one trim, but it's not that much more.
Okay, so in the US, the price of the car is definitely more than it is in Canada, especially when you factor in a 30% difference in the currency.
Yeah.
You have options in the US, a lot more options. In Canada, I truly believe it's a screaming good deal. I think it's a really good deal.
I mean, we own a GTI. We've got the 2024 model. We went with the top trim, and it's been fantastic. And even like things as you approach the vehicle at night and it lights up and you've got the puddle light.
lamps.
I mean, it's just like sometimes I think to myself, wow, this is really coming with a lot of features for the price point. I think it's good value in Canada.
First of all, when we ordered the car, I just wanted the car because I wanted it, and Andrew wanted it because it was a manual. But it's only after we got it we realized all the features it had, even though we do this for a living.
Yeah.
Some of them surprise us, like when you approach the car, it unlocks it, mirrors unfold, you get the puddle lamps, you get all the ambient lighting on the inside, you get a head-up display, you've got forward and rear parking sensors, and it's just loaded with technology. It's got all of the adaptive cruise control. It's loaded, and it's a lot of car for the money.
Yeah, and when you get it on the highway, the power is really good. And I was saying to Zach, I mean, I know you can't compare the two. We have an MX-5 as well. But like, what a difference. If you want something that's comfortable on the highway and somewhat refined, the GTI is really a great way to go.
Why do people walk down the middle of the road?
I don't know.
I don't understand that. What's wrong,
Doesn't want
dude?
the sidewalk.
What's wrong with the sidewalk? I don't get it. It's a thing.
It's a thing. Here in Vancouver, it's definitely a thing.
I don't get it though.
Why are there differences in models between Canada and the US? We get asked this often. You know, it's funny, we've got the Cadillac Optic this week, And the trims are very similar between the two. But then you can get into a Lexus or a Toyota model and you're like, what? This is really different. And it's just a different market.
Yeah, these are run as totally separate companies, and they're run as totally separate planning departments for what they believe is going to be a successful vehicle in each market. So one thing you should know as a general rule is Canadians typically buy higher end cars. Higher trimmed cars. And in the United States, you have a lot of really stripped down base model vehicles for areas and jurisdictions where maybe there's not a lot of money around. And those are really quite popular. Plus the population is so massive compared to Canada. So they typically produce cars with higher specs for the Canadian market and things that Americans just don't care about. Like if you live in Florida, you don't want heated seats and a heated steering wheel. You cannot sell a car in Canada without those features.
And you might not even want a sunroof in the US if you live in Florida. You just may want to go without it. So sometimes, you know, we do things, you know, we list off all these standard features of a vehicle and then we say in the US, not all these features are standard, and that's because they usually have a stripped down model. Now, in Quebec, the province of Quebec in Canada, many do buy a stripped down base model. Here's a good example.
And then there's an east to west thing. The farther east you go, the cheaper the cars are. The farther west you go, the more high end they are.
And speaking of the GTI, Volkswagen Canada eliminated the base model GTI because only 7% of them sold. So they were like, why are we keeping this? Whereas the US did keep the base model. Volkswagen Canada also told us that people who buy the Atlas buy the top trim. Instead of moving into a luxury category, like a Q7, let's say, they just go and they buy top trim Atlas.
Yeah. It's crazy. Where we live in Vancouver, it's pretty much all high-end vehicles. Not high-end brands, but high-end spec.
What do you think of the new Lexus ES?
I think it looks hot. You know what? It's funny. I saw the pictures of it, and down the side of it, it looks like a Charger. It's got this. It's got this cutaway down the side that is kind of like a Charger and kind of like a Panamera.
Yeah.
Do you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed it too. I like the light bar in the back. I like a lot about it. I even think the interior looks quite beautiful.
Where was that shown? It
Shanghai
it popped up
Auto
last
Show.
week. Yeah, I was just thinking with the Auto Salon or whatever they call it. Yeah, the Shanghai Auto Show is huge.
So it's going to come in two powertrain options, a hybrid, which is a 2.5 liter hybrid system that we see in Toyota and Lexus models. And then also a battery electric vehicle, which will be offered in a front wheel drive and all wheel drive option.
It looks like an EV.
Yeah. The Lexus GX550H Plus is available in the US, but not in Canada yet. Do you know why?
I think it's because how they'd have to price it. If they were going to price it, it would be, I mean, what is the RX plug-in is 95?
Or
it's
95,000.
It's just under 100 grand for a Lexus RX plug-in hybrid. So the TX is going to be, I think, cost prohibitive.
Yeah, and I spoke to Toyota about this when we were at the Vancouver Auto Show, and I said, hey, it's funny you're asking this question because I asked the same thing. I said, what's up with the TX? There's no plug-in hybrid offering online in Canada. And the PR team from Toyota Lexus said, no, we're not bringing it in at this time.
Too much.
So will it change to the 2026 model year and they'll consider it? I'm thinking they're not bringing it in just because of the price. Husband is currently in a 2016 Taurus.
Wow.
Looking for a new commuter that's more fuel efficient, but still a little fun to drive. He really enjoys the all-wheel drive and luxury that comes in the Taurus. Bit of a Ford guy, looking at the Lariat, Hybrid, Maverick, or the Mach-E. Which would you recommend, or what would you suggest outside the Ford family?
What were the cars that were listed?
The Hybrid Maverick and the Mach-E, and the top trim Hybrid Maverick.
Yeah, the Lariat.
Yeah.
Get a Taurus SHO. Super high output. Those were cool cars.
Yeah, he's got an SHO.
No, I know. Oh, he's got an
Yeah,
SHO. Oh, wow.
2016 Taurus SHO.
Oh, that's cool, man.
That's what he
That's
has.
a cool car. I don't know if I'd trade that in. I might keep
I
that.
know. 2016 isn't that old.
It's not that old. It's 9 years old. But I mean, it's one of those cars that is probably at the bottom of its depreciation curve and then might start to be appreciated again because it is a cool car. So if you're not aware, that's the high output, super high output Taurus.
Yeah.
And that car was built on the old Volvo S 90 platform. It's actually from the old Ford relationship with Volvo. They stole a lot of stuff from Volvo.
Wow.
Or actually, they bought a lot of stuff from Volvo and they kept it. And one was that platform that was used for so many vehicles. I'm not answering your question. I'm reminiscing about the Taurus SHO. And it was used also for the Ford Flex and a bunch of vehicles. The Ford Edge used that platform. It was very well done. Anyway, the answer to your question is easy for me, Andrew. You know what I'm going to say. What am I going to say?
Maverick Hybrid.
And now you can get it with all-wheel drive.
Yeah, I mean, they're so different. The Mach-E and the Maverick Hybrid, night and day. You're going to have more power, obviously, in an electric vehicle. But we did find with the Mach-E, it has quite a firm suspension, a sporty feel to it for an electric vehicle. So you've got to try it and make sure you like that feel.
I would go for the GT with the Magna Ride or the magnetic ride control. Made a massive difference.
But are they still making that?
Yes,
Are they?
I read an article and I made a statement on one of the questions, Coffee and Cars,
Yeah.
and it was misinformation from the website that said that
Okay.
the GT was no longer being produced. It still is.
Okay.
That's the one I would get.
Yeah, the GT was really good. We enjoyed that, but gets up there in price as well. I was wondering if you could explain why there are reliability issues with certain manufacturers. I understand this is usually the case with new cars, but some manufacturers seem to have them more than others. Is it the quality of the parts? Is it the assembly process? Or could it be an engineering issue? Perhaps all of the above. I love your channel and love your engagement level with your audience. Thank you.
It's an all of the above.
Totally.
It's an all of the above. So some brands are really particular. I was speaking with an executive of Toyota, and he said their quality assurance for their part suppliers, the tests that they make them go through for the parts is so much stricter than other brands. So that's one thing. The basic engineering is another. And then where the car is made definitely impacts it.
Definitely impacts it. So all of the above, as you mentioned, and also sometimes software updates.
Huge.
You know, say they put in a new infotainment system in a refreshed model, you could have problems with that. And that's really going to skew your reliability. You know, Volkswagen, I think that they make great
Is this the
products.
Volkswagen show today,
I know,
Andrea?
I just
You're
feel
going
like
down the Volkswagen rabbit hole.
I just want to say that they make great products. They have an engaging ride to them, and I like their products, but they do have a reliability issue, even including their EVs. And we spoke to Volkswagen about that because we were recently with them, and they said it's their #1 priority. I mean, you look at it with Land Rover as well. Fabulous vehicles. Like, they're just love the seating position. Their exterior design is wonderful.
They can go anywhere.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
reliability.
issues. So the problem is, if you're one of these people that is got to play it safe and go with the trusted brands, or you're just like, I'm going to try one and see how it goes. And there's no right answer. It depends on your pain threshold and what you're up to and what you're willing to put up with. We're more of a balance of the two. Some vehicles we have are ultra reliable. We have a Honda Civic, we have a Miata, both very, very reliable. And then this Cayenne is super reliable, and we have the GTI, and it's only a year old. We'll have to wait and see.
And your 2008 Cayenne GTS has been quite reliable too. We're going to do one more quick one. Do you think Toyota will bring the Crown Sport to North America? When we were with them in Japan, we did ask because we saw it there, and they said no.
Which is a real shame. It's got a real European, Italian kind of look to it. It's such a beautiful look. It would sell like crazy if they had it, depending on the price, of course. But there you go. All right, that's a no, dog.
That's a no.
How do you get a question in, Andrea?
Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather it, the post is deleted and we start the show. Thanks for watching.